Okay, now we're okay, so Hope Machine, I actually was really hoping that we could play it because it's kind of how I wanted to start it all out because you mentioned that we're both in and Jill is in six-figure systems, and what it has done is give me hope like I haven't felt before. And so what's really interesting about hope, I learned this recently or read a quote about it and I wanted to share it with you, is just the interesting thing about hope is that it's actually not an emotion or like a feeling like I kind of thought it was an emotion. Hope was an emotion, but it's actually a cognitive behavioral function. So what that means, it's a thinking, doing thing. It's not an emotion, but we do feel it, right? It's like tangible when we feel hope, but it's not an emotion in of itself. And so what that means is um that hope is not an emotion, it's a way of thinking or a cognitive process. So emotions play a supporting role, but hope is really a thought process made up of what Snyder calls a trilogy of goals, pathways, and agency. So in simpler terms, hope happens when we have the ability to set realistic goals. I know where I want to go, where we are able to figure out how to achieve those, including the ability to stay flexible, to develop alternative routes. I know how to get there. I'm persistent. I can tolerate disappointment and try again. And then when we believe in ourselves, so I can do this. So put those all together, and you've got a goal, a path to take, and an oh yeah, I can do that feeling. That's the like recipe, I guess, for hope. And when we're doing this business, sometimes we have to infuse ourselves with that hope over and over and over again because it's not easy what we do. Christy can attest to that because she just went through it. Because it's hard to hit brick walls sometimes when you're just trying to help people. But when we have a plan, we have a path, we have a goal, and we have that, you know what, I can do this feeling, that's what we need in order to keep going. And so what Six Figure Systems is doing for us, for me, is giving me hope. It's giving me that path. And I mean, I know where I want to go, but I didn't like have a clear path to describe what it is I've been out here just floundering trying to do. So having it in kind of concrete systems has been really helpful for me. And the first one that we went through is the marketing system. And I feel like I've done like a lot of research into marketing. And so I had like all these sort of pieces, but she just laid it right out there for you. And I want to be able to lay it right out there for you so that you can have feel like you don't just have a plan for what you're doing, but you have a system, that it's strategic what you're doing when you show up on social media, when we're sharing what we do, what we love, right? So there's a difference between a plan and a system. And some of us on our best days have a calendar, we have a plan of what we want to post. And again, I say on our best days, I am not naturally a planner at all. Like I'm just not. I like wake up on a whim. I'm like, okay, I'll post this today, right? But ideally, we want to have not only a plan, but a system behind it. So a system has focus, strategy has theory. And here's what she said here, like a here is why I'm choosing this platform. I'm creating this kind of wait, sorry, my notes are really sloppy. Here's why I'm choosing this platform, how I'm going to stand out and create new contacts and relationships, why people are going to love and follow me for content, and how I'm going to be their favorite follow. So that is kind of the system behind it. So she says there's three types of content that we have when we're talking about ourselves, when we're showing up on social media, and you kind of need to choose if you're going to be on one platform or the other. It's really hard to dedicate enough time to be able to do both or multiple platforms well. And also trying to post one on one platform and then just share it all to the other, doesn't usually translate as well as we would hope, but it actually kind of steals some of your views because if some people see it on Facebook, they're probably not going to pay attention to it on Instagram or vice versa. So, putting most of our attention into one platform is what they recommend, and I tend to agree with them there. Um, so there are three types of content, and those are brand content, content we use to grow, and content that we use to sell. And I think where we get the reason why I want to talk about this specifically is because I think we can tend to get caught up in the sell content a lot. We're posting lots of Plexus graphics. We're posting about ingredients. We're posting about promo. We're posting about join me now. But if we're really going in with a strategy, a system for how to do this, we really need to balance out the types of content so that we don't lose people in the process. Okay, so um, I will say while we're on the vulnerability track of talking about emotions and what we're thinking, because we are thinking, feeling beings just trying to make sense in this world. Okay. And so if you don't pay attention to what's going on between your brain as you're trying to do these things, you will find yourself doing something much more simple and easy and enjoyable. Okay. Like that's just a matter of fact. We will wind up on the couch scrolling on Netflix or our phones in lickety split because our brains are trying to protect us all day long. That's what they're trying to, it's what it's trying to do, but it doesn't necessarily set us up for growth. Okay. So pay attention to what your brain is telling you. So as I'm giving you all of that because for me, this is incredibly vulnerable. It's a vulnerable place for me to put this theory out into the world and stick with it. It's much easier to just be like, oh, I'm throwing stuff up there and seeing what sticks. But when I put my heart and soul into this and I'm creating my brand of who I am onto the in for the world to see, and I'm hoping it does well, that's a vulnerable place to be. So if vulnerable feelings come up for you when we're talking about some of this stuff, I just want you to know I'm right there with you. It's totally vulnerable for me. Okay, so and Christy, please hop in at any point. If I'm not going to be able to hit all of it, of course, but I want to talk about these three types of content. But if you see something and you're like, oh, she totally missed that part, please say something. Okay, so first is building your brand. So, what makes your diamond shine? Who are you? Okay, I want you to think of a diamond and all the facets of a diamond. You know, there's the bigger sections, so you're going to focus mostly on that. There's other parts of who you are, and people buy from you because of who you are, because of your story, because of how you talk, because of how they connect with you specifically. That's your brand. Okay, so your brand is um people need to know who you are so they can trust you. But honestly, they care less about you than themselves. So often we need to make some of that branding material like we don't want to be posting all about ourselves like she gave the example of posting all the time about your kid's baseball game because eventually people are going to be like, "Great, so what?" So post something about your brand that has something to give to them. Like, I took this snack to the baseball field today because this was tasty for me and it's easy on the go, or something. Like you're giving people something to hook onto, but you're using your voice, right? Um, so I also used handy dandy chat GPT to talk to me about some ideas for brands. So the goal is for us to build trust, communicate our identity, reinforce our values and our mission as a company, as a person. What makes us stand out is what's going to make people come to us. The opposite of that is also true. If people are not attracted to our brand, they will go away from us. And that's a hard part to deal with too. So our purpose is to define who we are, what you stand for, why your audience should connect to you on a deeper level. Okay, helping people get to know you. So This content helps create that loyalty and emotional tie. So we're being relatable, we're being authentic, consistent. Um, so this is where we talk in stories about our life, right? What we care about. We show behind the scenes moments of what we're doing in our real life, quotes or reflections that match your kind of brand pillars. They talked about that a lot too. Like some people do a niched account where 80% of the time they talk about 80% of the time they are talking about one specific thing, but most people are going to wind up with kind of these brand pillars of things that they talk about often. A handful of them that are kind of your brand, they're who you are. I think I saw Susan say something. uh yeah, so yes, Kim, yeah, Kim is in Six Figure Systems also. So um oh, bye, Susan. Okay, yeah, so we are going to talk about some of the same stuff that she went over and maybe something slightly different. But okay, anyway, back on track. Then I wanted to give you a personal example of something that I shared in my stories. So I shared a photo of me holding the Five Love Languages book. My kid had thrown up, and I'm like, Sunny, how's your morning today? Oh, just ironically cleaning throw up off of my copy of the Five Love Languages, because one, that's totally my brand. It's funny, it's authentic, it's a little brash. I don't know. Like, it's very much mom content. Okay. It's my brand. Okay. I'm not expecting it to go viral, right? Like that. It's not growing content. That's just for my people who get me, who understand they're in the thick of, kind of a personal development, mom life sort of journey, right? So that's an example of my brand content. But for some people, that's a so what, right? So we have to balance out our brand content with growing and selling content. Part of what's vulnerable for me is the putting more of myself out there so that people can love me, right? So people can connect to who I am and want to buy from me, and versus just some other random person on the internet. So we want to be able to stand out in that way. Okay, then we have grow content. So this, it's kind of confusing because grow content can be brand content and vice versa. But I want you to think of your grow content as more of your shareable stuff. So like my book and my joke about cleaning up my five love languages book is not something that's going to be wildly shareable. Okay. But I want you to think of grow content as shareable stuff. So faceless content, things that are inspiring, maybe a little bit edgy or educational, authentic, helpful. Um, when you see shareable content, you're like, oh, I know exactly who needs to see this. Like, oh, the world needs to see this quote or needs this. And then those tend to lead to more shareable things. It's stuff that's very useful. So I try to think of it as more of the faceless content kind of stuff. So you're more likely to share it if it's not you holding whatever the thing is, but it's just the thing, right? People are more likely to share. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay, so ChatGPT says the goal is to increase visibility, attract new followers, boost engagement. I am always very happy when I look back at the insights of my posts and I see that the majority of the people who saw it are my non followers. That actually makes me very happy because I'm not trying necessarily, or not always. My brand content, I want my followers to see it, right? But my growing content, I'm looking to get new eyes on my stuff. And so that's another way to be able to judge um, if it's growing content or not, if it's getting out to beyond your followers. The purpose is to expand our reach, align with trending topics. So you're going to want to use like, this is when you use a trending reel where where people are being funny or using some trending audio. We're creating very shareable stuff, sparking interest and interactions on the platform. The algorithm loves it when we try new things or when we do viral type stuff. And that's how we kind of grow and get out there. And another thing about the growing content is it encourages interaction. You want to be posting something that encourages interaction on your posts. Some sort of prompt like, hey, interact with me, ask a question, and then it's your responsibility to go into those comments and then comment back to them. Or even better, get in the DMs and start talking about what you found relevant, right? Like depending on what your thing is, what you talk about on social media. Okay. Brand content and sales, right? Sales content. So this we kind of love this. This is sort of our jam. Like we're pretty good at this. Most of us are pretty good at posting our sales content. So we're trying to convert followers. We're trying to get the people who already know us, they like us, to understand why they would buy from me over somebody else, right? This is where we're finally kind of catching them with testimonies, success stories, promos and offers that we have, clear calls to action. So this is where we'll be like, hey, click the link in my bio or comment a word in order to interact with me so that I know you want a package that I can help customize for you or something like that. So you're building interest in your offerings. This is where we have the chance to talk about our products in depth a little bit more, but make it about them, right? We're not just throwing up ingredients because people will be like, so what? Why does this matter to me? So I made a reel the other day. I'm drinking my active. I'm like, hey, if you think you might be ADHD, might I suggest an energy drink that has L-theanine? So I'm educating, I'm sharing, I'm leaving enough interest for people to kind of wonder what it is I'm talking about, and they can learn more in, the caption that we create. So something I think that is especially helpful and systemy for me. I feel like I already knew like these contents, but how much of those things? So we are supposed to have roughly 30% of our content be brand content, 50% of it to be grow content, and 20% of it to be sales content. Okay. So 30% brand, 50% grow, 20% sell. So how does that translate? How do I make that make sense? So I'm not a numbers gal. I'm just really not. I would prefer to never have to number again, anything really. So what I love is that they gave us this handy dandy chart, and I'm going to show you as soon as I can get to it. If we get into action and actually implement this, this is where it sticks. Okay. So sure, this sounds great and la 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 la, but until we put it onto paper, and I'm telling you, this was, I don't know, Christy and Jill, I don't know if you can relate, but this was painful. It was painful for me to actually create a calendar because I'm like, everything could change. And what if I'm gone or what if I'm busy? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're learning how to systemize your business. Okay. Because if we're not careful, we wind up with way too much sales content and not enough brand content. People aren't going to buy from us if they don't know us. And people aren't going to buy from us if they don't see us or know we exist. So we need grow content, right? So the question is, and I would love for you to honestly think about this and write it down. How many posts are you committed to making in a month? How many posts do you make a month? Or do you have the time to? There's no wrong answer. Everyone's going to have a different answer. Okay. Some of you may be 3 or 4 times. Some of you may be every day. Some of you may be 3 or 4 times a week, right? So for the sake of the numbering, we're going to say 20 because that's what's on here and I don't have to maths in my head. All right. So I've committed to 20 posts a month. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that number and break it down by 50%. And that content is geared toward growing your audience. 30% for content to build your brand, and 20% to sell. So if you're committed to doing 20 posts a month, that's 10 for your growing, that's 6 for your brand, and that's 4 posts for your for your selling. And I don't know why, but that felt very freeing to me, because I think we have been very, very sales focused more so than we have been adding value focused in this business. And it feels sometimes a little unbalanced. And that's not to say it doesn't work, but the people who are having great success have wonderful brands. They're seen by a lot of people, and that's why they make a lot of sales. That's why they're posting about sales content a lot. So another exercise that they had us do that was very eye-opening to me, in this in able being able to kind of see what the different types of content mean, what they look like, and that was the 10 by 10 by 10. So find 10 people that you follow on social media and that you love to follow on social media. You're inspired by them, you see every post they make, every reel, you watch their stories, and I want you to analyze why it is that you love to follow them. And again, this was another painful, felt like it took forever. Why am I doing this? It's not important kind of exercise. But it was very eye opening for me to find those 10 people. Why did I love following them? And then look at 10 of their top performing posts. Natalie, girl, that is so real. If there is a perfectly timed cuss word, we're probably friends because there's just nothing better to me. Actually, at a retreat, at a retreat one year, we did like a list of things that light us on fire, that like get us going. And I wrote one of them was a perfectly timed cuss word because it does. It's either funny or it like packs a punch. Anyway, I'm with you, Natalie, 100%. But yeah, what draws you to them? What are they saying that makes you inspired by them, or that yeah, like makes you want to follow them? And then find their top 10 posts and see, like, look at their reels, look at their what performed really well for them, and analyze that. Why did it perform well? Was it trending audio? Was it catchy? Was it edgy? Like what was it? And then I want you to think about how you in your brand can recreate it. How can you put a twist on it to make it yours and recreate it? And then if you do that, 10 by 10 is 100. That's 100 post ideas that you have to be able to throw on a calendar for November or for December. If you want to start this in December, that's fine. Start your month out, look at what's going on. Obviously, it's a busy month because it's Christmas, so you want to plan things accordingly. But yeah, anyway, that gives you content ideas of what to post that's relevant to you and your brand and your growing content and your cussing content that builds your brand, right? Okay, let's see what else I have. Okay, so um, something also that is helpful is I just am really learning that when I feel stuck, Chat GPT is my friend. If I'm just sitting here going, I don't know, like I wind up getting in my head a lot, and I'll just ask Chat GPT about some things. Like, tell me a story about women who need help with detox and gut health and balancing their hormones. What are 10 things that they're worried about? And then I can read through that list and I'm like, oh, I resonate with so many of those. Oh my goodness, I could make a story about this. And it just like inspires me for something to post or an ingredient to go research so that I can tell my people about it in my stories or on my team page or whatever. So there is another exercise called the 13 by 4. which is for brand awareness. So if you're trying to figure out, what you want to talk about most, right? So maybe like for me, mine is sort of a mental health sort of focus, mental health, mindfulness, kind of a whole body wellness sort of thing. So I talk a lot about acceptance and commitment therapy. So I ask ChatGPT about some of those things. But you can ask ChatGPT, what are 13 commonly asked questions about whatever your topic of choice is? So perimenopause, or maybe it's acceptance and commitment therapy, or mom life, or travel. And then your goal is to give 4 answers to each of those questions. And then that will give you content for you to be able to talk about. What?
4 questions, 13 answers. You
What?
ask it 4 questions and you ask for 13 answers for each of the 4 questions, and then you have 52 answers.
So again, guys, I don't numbers. So clearly I misunderstood the assignment.
But you're doing fantastic. You're killing it. But ask it 4 questions. And like Sunnie said, it couldn't relate. Mine have been relating to my pillars or whatnot. And oftentimes then I'll ask my pillar, my demographic that I'm going for, and perimenopause, and how can gut health relate to. Anyway, ask it whatever you want, but 4 questions, and say, give me 13 answers. And then 13 times 4 is 52.
And just to make sure,
Listen, Sunnie, 4 questions is way easier to come up with than 13 questions. Am I right?
I think we did this backwards because mine, I'm reading it as take 13 commonly asked questions or objections about your brand, industry, or niche, and then give it 4 answers for each
No,
question.
look at page 16. Each of the boxes on 16 has 13 answers.
hey, listen, we don't ever argue with Christy. I'm just telling you, right? Like, she's always right.
Christy, my love.
Oh,
Go to page 16.
I'm gonna mute.
Go to page 12. Read page 12. Either way, we're going to get content. But
ask it 13 questions. Yes. On page 12, look, it has 13 answers, 13 responses in your little thing. But you're right. Up here it says 13 things, but on the video,
she described it the other way.
and in the thing, yep. We're both right.
Maybe that's why I was so confused as she was going over it, because I'm like, and all right. Either way, ChatGPT is going to be your way. It's going to give you content to talk about in your brand or that is on brand for you, and ways to answer questions. Again, to just add value to the people that you're talking to, because we see so much content on social media, like so much of it, and it can be like a lot of the same thing, like blah 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 blah. So if you want to stand out, answer questions that ChatGPT knows the world better than we do, and in our own, like we're stuck in our own kind of bubble, but it knows like what people are asking, what questions, and if we can provide those answers, again, people are more likely to come to us and feel confident with who we are and what we can provide. Another good one is to ask it for like 20 common stereotypes about whatever it is. So stay-at-home moms, or perimenopause, or MLMs. For me, my kind of who I'm talking to are skeptical professional women who need help but don't think they need it from MLMs, right? Like, so kind of talking to those objections is one way that I have, tried to kind of set myself apart. Okay. Another thing, so she said 4 reasons why our sales copy isn't converting. So like, I'm posting lots of sales stuff. Why isn't it working? Why aren't people buying from me? And she said, 1, you haven't shown enough value to people. 2, you haven't built enough trust. 3, they don't know you're speaking to them specifically. and then you haven't actually asked for the sale. You haven't asked them, come join me, try this thing with me. Um, question, or let me open it up. What questions do you guys have? Is this making sense? Does that feel hopeful to you? Does it give you a kind of a clear idea of what types of content to post? What are you thinking? Be honest.
While they're thinking, I will share um that I too was very overwhelmed and stared at my blank calendar for what felt like days, but only a day. And then started putting it into place. And once I had filled out my entire month of November of, whew, okay, I gave every day, because I post every day a thing, because I was, much like you, Sunny, just throwing out posts. You know, I've always said I have no problem posting. I'm an overshare. Like my head just in my head, it's like a timer goes off. Time to post, and I just am so random. But I decided this in this training to focus on Instagram because I had a fairly decent amount of followers, but no sale conversions. So 2 weeks in of using this calendar that we created, and I have 200 new followers already.
Nice.
And so that is to say, not that I am magical, but I am just following the system. And in the like 10 by 10, like some of the people I follow are just freaking funny. You know, it's people that know me well, Natalie, you know, you guys that have hung out with me, I'm not funny. Really, I'm married to somebody who's super funny, and I feed off I get credit for funny because he's hilarious, okay? But I like funny things. I mean, I married the funniest person I know. So I will find reels that are funny
Mhm.
that have been shared a lot and then just copy the hook and put it on my own B-roll and it
Mhm.
gets shared like crazy. And again, like Sunny said, it's the shareable posts are like the kind of faceless whatever. It doesn't matter what the video is. I have one that's gone viral from 2 days ago and somebody commented, what does this video have to do with what you said? And I wrote back, nothing. It has nothing to do with it. It's a picture of the guys that are sweeping up leaves in the street. I don't know. Like nothing. It's a video. It doesn't, then that's the point. Like if you're okay saying has nothing to do with it, but look at you not knowing me and commenting on my post. Like, gotcha. Um,
That's funny.
so
Yeah,
but
B-roll is super helpful for me. Like to release that like feeling like I had to have my makeup done or I had to like make it make sense. Like just
it
random.
doesn't. The joke in my house is when I'm like, what are you doing? And Rob literally looks at me and goes, nothing, so you can take a video of me. Like, just be ready.
That's funny.
So, but don't be afraid of the calendar. Be really good with the numbers because I also, it felt weird. Like right now, I'm like, I should be selling way more reset. I should just be posting reset all day long. But I'm like, pull it back, pull it
Yeah.
back, follow the program,
Mhm.
you know. So, but do you guys have questions?
Yes, please.
What were the 4 reasons our sales posts don't convert, Georgia?
Oh, let me go find it. Let me find it. Let me get the words right. You haven't shown enough value. So again, posting that brand content. You haven't built enough trust. Again, brand content. They don't know you are speaking to them. And you haven't asked for the sale. You're posting the graphic, but you're not saying order or let's get your order in today or something like that, right? Um, let's see. Sometimes we're speaking to wants rather than needs. Um, um, Yeah, sometimes it helps to cut out jargon and kind of lofty language, like the take out the PV or the PAX or like acronyms that we are commonly using, and like use common language when we're talking to people. Um, let's see. Sometimes too, like do you remember, Christy, what she was talking about with the spotlight effect? Do you remember that at all?
No, but I was looking through my notes as you were going everything, and one thing I wrote, I don't know if this is that, but in the converting to sales is they said, and this is a hard one sometimes, but are you a reflection of the products you use
Yeah.
in your sharing?
Mhm.
Um,
Being a product of the product for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I don't know about the spotlight. Is it the amplifying the problem? Did I write amplify and you wrote spotlight?
I don't know.
I don't know. We got the
It's in
brain
quotes,
trust going
spotlight
on.
the effect, and then it was like take out who's in the spotlight. You take out the I. Okay, so like when we're posting, it shouldn't always be I. Switch it to the you. You will feel this way, right? Like I took this and I feel great. Well, so what? What does that have to do with me? So take out the I from the discussion and switch it to you. Um, yeah, change it to you.
And that was, I did finally find the word spotlighting. You were right. But you can write your thing, your potential post like you normally would do it. And you can ask ChatGPT, hey, take this and make it about my audience.
Mhm.
You don't have to be a brainiac to like let ChatGPT be the brainiac. It's super smart. Ask it all the questions.
And like it's super smart, but it can't be your brand. Like that has to come from you. And so um we're also going to get to the point where we see a post and we're like, oh, ChatGPT definitely wrote that. Like we have to make sure that we add our humanity to it, or it's going to just sound like a womp womp. But it gives you those trigger ideas to go, oh, I know how I can make this mine. I know how I can make this sound like me. And it's relevant. Like I said, ChatGPT it knows things. It's kind of creepy sometimes how much it knows about me. But anyway, I'm thankful. Okay. So,
Can I ask a question real quick?
sure.
Would you say that all of this also applies to stories as far as brand content, grow content, sell content, the 30, 50, 20? No.
Go ahead, Christy. Take it away.
I said no, because from what I from what I believe, but also I think what I've learned from our training is that stories really are where you build your brand. Stories are where you're connecting to your audience. Only your followers see your stories. So they're already following you, and use your stories to be relatable. Use your stories to be like, I'm that mom and my kids just threw up on my book and this is what's going down. You know what I mean? Like that's really where you're sharing what you're doing during the day.
Yeah. I would say, Lauren, it kind of the only reason why I feel like it kind of translates is because you don't like you want it to be mostly brand. You're not going to obviously be growing from it. So you just have brand and sales, but you don't want to kill it with the sales because then people aren't going to watch your stories. Like I would say more like maybe an 80-20, like 80 brand, 20 sell. But you can also, the thing is like, you know how this works. Lauren's actually super great at this. Go watch her stories, like roping in sales content into brand content in stories, just kind of seamlessly talking about what you're taking or what your kid's doing, or, like it's seamlessly kind of waved in there.
Yeah.
It's the
And I
most
think,
authentic sales content.
that's what I would think is like your day to day, like in my daily, mixing my drinks, talking about what I'm doing, like just finished a run, drank my hydrate while I was running. Like it's really is mixed in who I am. I probably do sell more on my stories just as I'm talking because I'm kind of like girl next door
Mhm.
talking.
But they also,
in my
when I
stories.
say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay. When I said the 80/20, now I'm kind of taking it back because they say like stories are where sales actually happen. Like a lot of it happens there. And you can also, yeah, I I think stories is a great place to post a lot of sales content. Maybe more so your sales content in stories than even on your post or your reels. Would you agree, Christy?
I would because they're already following you. They
Mhm.
already like you.
Mhm.
And they just seeing what you're doing and how you're using it and what the sell is. And the great thing about stories is if they don't want to listen anymore, they can just
Mhm.
tap real
Yeah,
quick. And then
yeah,
it's gone in 24 hours. So if you acted a fool, it's gone.
yeah.
It's gone. But I feel comfortable in my stories kind of just saying whatever. But because you're conversational in your stories, I think that's a great place to sell. It feels much less formal to me than a post about a sell I'm having or about, it's like, hey, you got to do this. This is amazing.
Mhm.
Whatever, because I'm being so myself. There's no chat GPT weighing your through self through a live in your stories, right? You just
Right. Yep.
So I think a lot of sales, because those are your people, they've already decided they like you. And if they're watching your stories, it's because, or if they're seeing your stories, it's because they continue to watch your stories.
Mhm.
You all know that, right? Like you open your Instagram and there's people that you really like who you always watch their stories. They're up first. You got to scroll way back to get to somebody's story. You're like, oh, look, I didn't even know they were on Instagram.
Mhm.
Right? So the people that like you, they're seeing your stories pop up. So tell them what they need, why
Mhm.
you love it.
Yeah. One of my favorite tricks too is like some days to actually post a lot of stories about Plexus in a row, like several of them, and really informative or really get down and dirty because then you can see who sticks around. Because like she said, like people will swipe out if they're not interested, and that's fine, right? Like we don't what is it she says all the time? Like, um, oh, high intention, low um attachment to like their answer. Like what is that what she says?
Mhm.
Like we're going in and we're attaching ourselves from the outcome. Like it's okay if they don't need it, want it. But I like to post sometimes a lot of stuff about Plexus because then you see who hangs out to the very end. And if you're not sending messages to those people who watched all of them, you're missing out. And by sending messages, I don't mean, do you want to buy Plexus? I mean, starting a conversation and seeing what they're up to. And hey, I saw you watching my stories. Were you interested or did you have questions or, just starting up a conversation like a human, right? Because I believe that we instinctively know how to love people well. And that translates into sales when we're talking to people because they know us, they like us, they trust us. And if we're coming to them with a sale option, it's because we care about them and want to help them. Oh, oh, sorry, I got it. I answered George's question. I thought that was a new question. Who else? Does anybody have questions, thoughts? Like, does this give you hope? Does it feel like it makes sense?
Uh,
Um,
I have questions, and I so timely that I'm multitasking. I'm working my day job over here, and Laura guilted me to coming on tonight, so here I am. But it just so timely because I literally earlier today was doing something and I thought I've got to get back on the social media and I've got to be more religious about it. And so I got out my trusty phone, that's always in our hand, and I started writing down things that I don't mind sharing. And I do it a lot. Like I take a lot of pictures and do the stuff. I just never share it because I have that I got to do it all at one time. Like Shelly, one girl on our team, she goes, just do it when it's happening. Just do it when it's happening. But I do have a question. And I know it's just an excuse for me, but when you see these people and they're doing all this great content, are they legit walking around? And this is more from a technical standpoint. Are they walking around with a flipping tripod and just planning it, hauling ass out of the room and then running in? Like, how are they getting the content? I need to be the behind the scenes. And I'm sorry if any of y'all have kids. I just realized what I said. I need to be behind the scenes. I need the behind the scenes of that, right? Like, what do that look like? And one girl does stuff all over, and I'm literally in Target, and she's hilarious. Does she have a tripod or does she have a handler? Like
A teenager. She has a teenager.
She probably has a teenager.
When I'm with my big kids, they'll be like, "Are we getting Instagram footage?" Like I joke at my funeral, there's not going to be any pictures of mom being at anything, but there'll be a lot of selfies. But there are a lot of videos. They will take videos. They're like, "You're going to need this for Instagram," and it's just me doing random stuff, and they send them to me so that I have them for B-roll.
I tried to
But
pay
I
my
do have
kids
a
to
friend who was growing her brand,
Yes.
and she paid somebody, a photographer, to go with her on multiple trips and travel things and just document everything. I don't have that kind of money. She didn't have any kids at the time. She was just a single successful woman.
Well, I've offered to pay my kids to do video footage. I'm like, just catch me a day in the life. You know, that's what my name is. And they're like, this is so ridiculous. And then they'd start making fun of each other and fight to see who could get the video footage, to see who could get the $5, whatever it was that I was offering. But that's my hang up is, how are y'all translating? And I know it's totally an excuse, but I feel like I have good content. I feel like, and I'm even kind of over, like I'm almost 50. I give zero blanks on what anybody thinks of me. It's getting it from my head to my day to there. So do any of you young whippersnappers have any ideas on that? I see Christy holding that. So I'm going to just walk around with one of those, I guess.
I have my tall one, and then I have this one that sticks to everything.
Yeah, okay. I also have this guy. Oh my gosh, now I can't remember even what it's called. It's called an O Snap, but it's magnetic. So like anything that's magnetic, I can just stick my phone to and start creating content. I stick it in my fridge and talk to my fridge all the time.
Oh no, no man.
I'm ordering that immediately
and
this
like
call is over.
I will say I'm actually I am very shy about making content if anybody else is in the room and can see or hear me. That is something that I need to get over. But I still make content. I still make reels on my own at home. You can make B-reel by holding your phone up or like propping your phone up on anything. I do have a million different tripods. So if I'm making like an elaborate reel, I'll go get my tripod out, but usually I can just set my phone up and do it right then and there. And I am not one to post stuff as it's happening. I will post it 2 days later, pretending like it just happened that day. Your followers generally don't know. They don't know, or they're not going to realize that that content was from yesterday instead of the day before, or you know what I mean? Like, especially at big events, like I just don't have time at convention to always get everything up that day. I want to be in the moment. That's just my personality though. But yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah. And I know it's totally an excuse, but like today I was doing stuff and I'm like, how am I need to get from point A to point B. And
I don't think you should feel like you have to do it all in one day.
Okay.
Like I have a million videos that I eventually will go to and I'll add something to it, like in 10 days, 3 weeks, whatever. That's that B-roll content, or like I have a folder that's like to post, or I have a brand folder in my phone that's like brand, like I know this will be good to post or use later. Also like start reels, and I have a gajillion in my drafts right now, just ready to go. And one day I'll have my hair and makeup all done, which I don't always post stuff with my hair and makeup done. I don't think it really matters. It's part of my brand. It's whatever is you. But I will just, like, I have like 5 or 6. One of them I posted today. Actually, I'm like making this face like, no, I'm not going to do it. I sat in front of my phone and made like 6 of them with different reactions. Like one of them was like, woo, right? And another one was like, no. Another one was like, I'm like, I can't even with you right now. And I have no idea what I'm going to put on them. I don't know what my words are going to be. I don't know what the trending audio is going to be at the time, but I'm going to pick a trending audio. I'm going to pick something that's very brand for me, and it's going to go with that video when the time comes. And I'll just go find it when I like see something that I feel like it goes with. So I'm like gathering stuff and eventually it will all come together. But if I know I need to make a post that's a brand post today, which is those are harder for me actually, because it's easier for me to think of something, oh, I could make this about selling active. That comes to me all the time. But like putting myself out there and being honest with who I am is a little bit harder. And so if I know I need to do that, then I can take that content and make it specifically brand. I don't know if that's making
Do we
sense.
get this calendar or no? I know it's probably private information because y'all went to a class, but
I have a training, Natalie, that is on YouTube that goes over this, and I'll put the calendar in our team page for you to grab with all the really specific things. If I haven't shared those already, I will share them
okay.
along with this training again tomorrow for you all to grab.
And then
I
Laura,
will
I'm
have
gonna
the
need you to hold
ChatGPT.
me accountable.
Yeah, and I'll also do a list of ChatGPT prompts.
That's another thing I need to start using.
Yeah.
But I did it, and somebody said use Chat GPT to make your picture. And so I did it, and Chat GPT made me a boy.
It probably doesn't know enough about you.
Yeah, you got
Like you have to
That's
teach
probably
it.
so true.
You have
But
to
I was like, does my
customize.
voice sound boy? Because I was like, obviously talking to it, but I said, I did say I was a mom of 3, but anyway, I saved the pictures because it's so dadgum funny that I'll share them to anybody who's interested in seeing the transition.
Well, you definitely want to customize it and tell it all about you in the personalization.
That's what I was trying to do. And
Yeah.
but probably
I'll help
because I
you.
didn't have enough on there, or I don't know, but it thought I was a boy.
Yeah. Well,
you're
cute.
Well, thanks. It was funny though. I was like, okay, clearly I need to use Chat GPT and I need to be posting more. It was such a reflective moment, but I'll hush now. Okay, thank you for being on, Sunnie.
Yeah. Okay, but so who else? Like any other questions? Do you feel like you can see yourself knowing what grow content is and knowing what brand content is? That was a sticky part for me when it came to putting it on the calendar. Yeah.
Same. I had to get clarification on that, but I think you did a really good job of sharing about it.
Thank you. Thank you. I have thought about this a lot.
But if anybody still doesn't understand, ask, because I had to ask on the call. What is the difference? I couldn't really tell.
Man, and two, like just kind of deciding like what I wanted to talk about that was what I wanted to use to grow. And I decided that I was going to use the mental health acceptance and commitment therapy, mental health type quotes and stuff like that. It was easy for me. It kind of comes from my gut. It's a part of my training and who I am. But something else that felt when I went to put this on there, I cannot describe like the panic I'm gonna be beholden to this for the rest of my career. Like the way she said it was like, put it down, do it for this month. And then if it doesn't work, change it. It's okay to just put it down and go with something. Like we're trying this out, especially if you're new to branding yourself or being who you are and doing the different types of stuff. It's okay to experiment and see what sticks. Like maybe you start talking about menopause stuff and you're like, actually after a month of this, I don't feel like this is coming from my gut or it's like who I am or what I want to talk about forever. And you can change it. And that's totally okay. It's a page in your book. Julia, could you potentially I will say 2 things about just starting a whole new one. You could start a whole new one. People grow really fast starting brand new Instagrams and posting, branded material. And I think that would be a fun experiment. And then if it flops, then you can go back to your original one and open it up and then just like archive or hide, I guess, your kid photos. And then just from then on, don't post pictures of them, potentially. if you wanted to keep the same account. What's that?
I didn't know you could archive.
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you guys all have creator accounts? Have you changed your accounts over to creator accounts on Instagram? Or do you guys use Instagram or Facebook? Where are you guys?
A lot of
Both.
Facebook on our team.
A lot of Facebook?
Mhm.
Okay. I have
Where
more
do you
followers.
look on Instagram to see if you're a creator?
Does yours give you like on your the easiest way to be able to tell is when you're on your main page, does it say professional dashboard in the middle?
That's how you know. It'll say that if you have a creator account.
Yeah, because then you can see your insights. Have you ever looked at your insights page?
Nope.
Oh, we got to change that page, you poo.
Like another new training.
We got to figure that out. Because then you can see the accounts that how many accounts you've reached, if it's higher or lower percentage wise from, the previous 30 days or however many days. You can see how many more followers you're getting versus losing. As long as I'm staying in the green there, I feel pretty good about that. Like as long as I'm staying in the green and not going backwards, I feel pretty good. Okay, what else? It's like past time now, but I want to make sure that we answer any questions you guys have before we go. I want you to feel solid that you've got a system.
So switch to a professional account. Is that what it is?
Creator account.
Okay, and then we're gonna do the calendar. Christy, you like how I just come in and all of a sudden start being bossy? We're gonna do the calendar. And is everybody gonna start posting tomorrow?
I'll put the calendar up. I'll put the how things, or I'll do a summary. I'll do a summary with things, including ChatGPT prompts to help give you ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Summary of what Sunnie shared on the 10 by 10 and 13 by 4 or 14 by 13, 4 by 13, however you want to do it. Do it however
52.
do it. You do you. Do you. Yes. I will have all of that up. Being is already asleep, so I can get some of it done tonight.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Laura.
And Sunnie, I'll get the recording to you for you and your team if you guys need it, because you're awesome. Thanks for coming on and doing
Thank you
this.
so much for inviting me to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, I loved having the redhead hostesses.
Yes.
Yes.
Bring that energy,
Yeah, we like it. We're here for it.
Bye
Okay, thank you.
guys. Have a great
Bye,
night.
thank you.
Bye.